What's up, Lemonheads? Welcome back to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I'm Emily, and this week I'm in the lemonade stand without Crystal because I have a very special guest this week. My absolute favorite person in the whole world, the yin to my yang, the peanut butter to my jelly, the pineapple to my pizza, my husband Chris. So we're replacing Crystal for Chris. Chris has a kind of similar story to how I feel like some of our contractors might. Kind of an unpredicted entrepreneurial story. And you've helped a lot of small businesses build their brand and build it beyond their logo. So I think you have a lot of knowledge and you've seen a lot of things change in the advertising industry over the years. You've really learned a lot on how to pivot and adapt and really seen some failures and successes in developing a brand. So without further ado, let's sip some lemonade. Well, hello, Chris.
Hello, Emily.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
You know, this really makes me feel like
I
Candace
was
and
hoping
Casey
you would
Neistat.
skip this. That's a terrible thing to say.
Why? Because we're on like couples therapy.
Because no one likes Candace Neistat.
Oh, I do. Anyways, probably our
Anyways.
contractors aren't probably even familiar with
Yes,
Candace
I
and
hope
Casey.
they are not.
But so this is not an actual couples therapy session. But we did invite you to be a guest here on our show because you are a small business owner. You can relate to the challenges of running a business, the growing pains, having to be moldable and pivotable. And Lemon Seed does actually get to partner with you and with our business, Real Graphics, a lot. So why don't you give us a little bit of a background about kind of how you got here?
Yeah, sure. So 15 years ago, started a company called Real Graphics by accident. Real Graphics is kind of what we would like to say the small business for your small business because we produce a lot of advertising and marketing products and offer some services that would basically go to help you move your mission forward. But yeah, like I said, I stumbled into this by accident. It did have its perks along the way. I did meet a lovely wife through this process of starting this business.
That's me.
Yeah. And but yeah, so it started, I was doing different church work. I was going to be a youth pastor forever. That was my plan. I even made pacts with other friends of mine that we were going to do youth ministry until we were old and just have a great time hanging out with teenagers. And along the way at different churches, I started taking on more of the marketing roles of creative stuff and creating logos and graphics and things like that for promotion, having things printed and produced. Those things kind of always just kind of naturally fell on my plate, and I did enjoy it. Next thing I
like
knew,
summer camps and weekend
Right.
retreats, things like that.
yeah, and even just for the whole church and a whole of women's ministry is going to have this big event. Let's promote it. So anyway, so having that just kind of evolve on my plate naturally, I enjoyed it. It all kicked off when a youth pastor was at our church for a meeting and said the magic words, "Hey, how much would you charge me to make some event posters like that for my youth group?"
And that was like a light bulb moment.
Yeah, it was like, wow, how about $25? And I don't mean this but disrespect, but he was from the First Baptist Church in the town and had a thing called a budget. And it was really cool that he had money to spend to make cool stuff. And so it was really a neat thing that just started on the side and quickly just became something that I really wanted to do more of. So fast forward along the way is we grew this business, and it was something I did on the side. Then I went part-time and then jumped in full-time sometimes later. But everything we started to do was outsourced in the beginning. You know, I didn't have any capabilities but an old printer that would print some posters, and that was about it. And everything else I had to lean on other vendors and find people to do production work for me. So through that has so many challenges. And so fast forward, Real Graphics now, we do 90% of everything we sell, we produce actually in-house under our same roof. And that's something we're very proud of because I know the challenges in working with lots of different vendors. And sometimes there's goods and there's bads that come out of it. And so evolving over the time, it would just like screen printing, for instance. Met a great friend. He was screen printing shirts, so we started taking orders for our customers and having him produce the shirts for us. That went good for a while. Then we started to overflow them, and he couldn't keep up the demand.
Well, and like you never wanted to be in the T-shirt business per se, but you know, you kind of stumbled into it because people would have you design these flyers or posters for this event and be like, hey, can you print shirts also? And so it kind of became a need. You're like, hey, I'm getting lots of people asking for shirts and then whatever else it might be, and then banners and signs and things like that. So I think that's what you really meant if you accidentally
Mm-hmm.
did it. And I think a lot of our contractors kind of relate to that as they've gone into other verticals and things like that. They saw a need for it, or customers needing it, or someone not doing it well in their market. And so trying to fill that hole for the customers.
Absolutely. And I think that's with a lot of the small businesses we work with in all industries, that's usually some kind of part of their story is, I had frustrations of couldn't get this done right. Just thought I'd do it myself. I remember we did a bunch of stuff for a guy who has a seamless gutter business. And I was asking him, like, how in the heck did you get into this? He said, man, I asked for 3 different quotes. I waited so long. I got tired of it. And I said, how hard could it be? And next thing he knows, he bought the equipment and has a great business, loves what he's doing. But I just thought it was interesting hearing his story, and kind of what started it was just like, I'm going to do it right, and he jumped right in and figured it out. Similar here, yeah, as we just had those different areas that customers needed the support in, or they had bad experiences before. I had that come up where, we have always had problems getting our shirts printed on time or whatever. Can you just handle it for us? And so sometimes it would fall on our plate for those reasons. But yeah, it just evolved to where we wanted to control the process, the quality, the outcome. If the customer call needed 3 more added to it, we wanted the flex to be able to get it done and not be at the mercy of someone else. So those are the types of reasons why we kept growing what I say sideways. Instead of just being the one-stop shop for your design and poster printings, it quickly became shirts, and it quickly became signage, and then paper printing. And again, it was me curating good relationships with other vendors to produce it for our customers. Hey, we have customers that need this, this, and this. Could you do those paper printed products for us? And let's talk about pricing and turnarounds. And so it was having a relationship. And I think that's what a lot of other small businesses have to deal with, is relationships with other vendors that are going to make products for them, having trust there, having expectations, and then following through and with quality and delivering what's needed. So that's definitely something that was always close of heart and important to us.
So Real Graphics has built this business about the actual production of marketing and advertising materials. And locally, like if people know Chris and I personally locally, they may not get like why I split, if you will. I'm kind of doing air quotes now, from Real Graphics to start this venture Lemon Seed with Crystal. But in my mind, it's very obvious and simple, because Lemon Seed is very strategy based. Lemon Seed does not print a dang thing. We don't even have a color printer here in the office. It's sad. But we do the strategy part, and then there is a need for the actual production. So like, hey, we can say, we're going to do this offer on this direct mail piece, and here's the targeted address list and these zip codes with this demographic, things like that. But who's going to actually produce it? And so to me, the production part of Real Graphics is what's so crucial. But why don't you tell us why production actually matters? Or what are some problems or things that you've seen that make the production harder or not as feasible, or where things they fail at as far as the production side of things?
I think it's just a really great idea for a marketing agency, the creative side, and even just the end customer user, a business owner. I think it's just a good idea to just have an understanding of the production process and keep that in mind, because so many times we've had other creative agencies send us neat ideas that aren't producible, or the business owner comes in and is like, oh, we have the best logo, I already got it made online, it's beautiful, here it is. And it's like, wow, that has 9 colors in it, they're very unique shades, all these things are like I can't even read it from 4 feet away. Wow, that's going to be a challenge.
Super trendy, or you don't have the right
trendy's another one. Yes. It's just like everything else, and then 2 years later that trendy logo is now untrendy, and you've got it printed on everything. So I think having a lot more strategy and thought into the beginning parts would be good, and then keeping in mind, how are we going to produce this? What's it going to look like on our vans out there in the public? What's it going to look like on a billboard? Is it going to even portray the right thing? Because that's another thing that I think me and you share a common frustration on, is that people want to be everything to everybody, and you're not. And so, and I've heard Crystal say about knowing, what is it, Lufkin Linda?
Yeah.
I think being more strategic in that and knowing, hey, okay, let's make a logo that's actually going to communicate best to our target customer. It's not everybody, even though we would love for it to be, and being strategic on it. So that would be something to keep in mind. But then also, hey, how's this going to produce? And then when we do the creative part of the logo design and all the branding creative parts, let's make sure that it will translate well. So if you're going to have a full illustrated character, that's good. Then what is going to be your simple
one
color
version.
that's going to be on your pens. And so keeping that in mind, I think is very important that people, I think, miss out, maybe just don't take full advantage of the possibilities of at the beginning in when they get themselves locked into something that's got limitations.
Well, I know that was always one of my biggest frustrations, if you will, when I was at Real Graphics kind of working on that production end. We'd get an agency that would send us in a design file. And again, just like you said, okay, there's a really cool idea. And like, technically this could be done. This could be printed on this shirt. But like, it's going to cost the customer so much more because they have no clue about what they've actually just designed. You know, they just send it over. The client doesn't know. But that's why I even stress to our designers here at Lemon like, I actually make them go to a tour at Real Graphics and see the actual production of these things. Like, why can this work and this won't work? And or if we are going to make this work, how much more extra effort or how much more is it going to cost? Because that's the type of things when we're developing a brand, and that's literally the exact reference I use. Can this be blown up and legible on a billboard, and can it also be on a pen? Because we have to have a versatile logo that can evolve to all the things. We don't want to design them something that they're locked. They're not going to be able to ever produce or do anything with the logo.
Right.
So I think having a great logo that is manipulable and can be seen for the bigger picture is great. I also think a lot of people skimp on they might try to skimp on the production of their products or get a cheaper thing or maybe just not do anything at all. And to me, it's just failed opportunities.
Yeah, that is true, especially like when you're coming to uniforms and, you know, you could definitely get T-shirts cheaper.
Yeah.
But is it worth the cost to have these T-shirts that are going to look and present themselves in one way on your team, or is it better to go ahead and invest in polos or button-downs that will represent you more professionally and better? So I would definitely count the cost on what it might be worth in the long run to do things well. Yes, you could probably get the vehicle lettering done for $800, but gosh, would it really represent you better and make a better impact in your community and your marketing overall by just spending the $3,200? You really need to do it right and wrap that whole vehicle. Consistency is another one. Man, I've seen people, I got a deal on this other van, and instead of it being white like all the other ones in my fleet, this one's red. And it clashes, but man, I saved $800. Is that worth it? You know,
right.
I appreciated one of our customers here in this season of time. You know, getting a vehicle at all is gold.
Sure.
And so the only one he could get was silver, but his thinking wasn't, well, I got silver, so I guess this is just gonna be the oddball one. No, he's like, hey, I know it's gonna cost more, so how much is it gonna be so that we wrap over all the silver parts and make it white like all the rest of my partial wraps.
Yeah.
And so I just appreciated the excellence that he was thinking of so that his fleet would all look consistent and the same, and it wouldn't be hodgepodge because he saved $800 on this one or that.
Right.
So just don't cut the corners where it probably costs more. Whenever your customers get confused because they thought you guys wore blue shirts and now that guy's in a green shirt, it's just the little things I think that make a difference. So
and I think a lot of times people are often just like looking to check a box. Like they have a branded shirt on, okay? Like I got them a t-shirt, it has our logo on it, like that's good enough, check. But really it's a failed opportunity. Like what could it be, that first impression when the customer opens the door and they see like this nice, clean, tucked in shirt, button up shirt, like it's just a different, it's not really very tangible, but it's just that it's a brand. That's honestly what it is, that intangible thing. And so get beyond just trying to check off a box. Okay, they have something printed with our logo that's on their body, and look towards the details. Find the opportunities that you can execute to really wow that customer.
Yeah, and I would say keeping things consistent within that opportunities. I mean, yes, you could have uniforms. Yes, you could have yard signs out promoting the special or whatever you're doing. Maybe it's even working at a home and you put a nice sign saying this work was provided by. And if all those things aren't consistent and flowing, then you're kind of losing opportunity there. And I've had that happen before where, my wife ordered the yard signs online and they look this way. The business cards came from that printing place and they look a little different, but they're nice. And then, then you guys printed my shirts and they're awesome. I like this and this, but they're not flowing consistently because you didn't have anyone, just keeping a pulse on that consistency throughout everything that's getting produced. So that's another pitfall.
Yeah, and I think that does kind of go from your team, like, I just let the office girl, one CSR ordered some shirts, but then I have someone else ordering the business cards, and then my wife took care of that for me.
Yep.
Yeah, being intentional to have one kind of designated person that's going to do all your purchasing, that type of thing, can really help in that consistency.
Yeah.
But I know this will drive you nuts too. Seeing a banner on someone's building for their sign instead of paying for
it was cheaper, you know.
It was cheap,
I mean,
yeah.
gosh, the banner was $150. They wanted $400 for a sign. Forget that.
Well, and I don't even know if this thing's gonna work. I've heard someone say that before.
Okay,
I can tell you
so,
right now, sir, it's not gonna work.
Hopefully, no one from Lufkin's listening to this podcast, but so many people do come in and say, "What's the cheapest sign I can get?" Because I'm not really sure. Or even I tell them, "Well, a banner's only gonna last you a year." So you're really better off to spend the money right and at least get an aluminum panel sign to start out. And they're like, well, I don't know if this thing's going to even last over a year, so I might as well just get that banner.
Well, sir, if you have that, I can already tell you, sir, don't even waste the money on the banner at this point. Like,
and if we really want to talk local fun, I mean, we've had people sitting in our front office trying to decide what business name they're going to go with as we ask them for their logo. You know, like, oh, shoot, what are we going to name this thing? I forgot. I didn't think about that. So it is some fun stuff.
There's going to be a whole other podcast.
Please just think these things through and do it well. And again, talking about spending money twice, you know, don't buy even the aluminum sign. If your goal is to get the nice one, go ahead and look at it right and see, you know, think ahead. And then that way you can make the best choices possible. Because I've had that happen before too, where they really wanted something else, but it was a lot of money. They didn't want to jump. And so they went with the cheaper option, but then they settled for the cheap option for 5 years because they wanted to get their money's out of it.
Yeah.
You know, or even like decals. Oh, I'm going to put decals on this truck as I get this started, and then in a year I'm going to come back and we're going to wrap it and do it right. Well, that doesn't happen because you get working, you get busy, and it's good enough, so you just roll with it, and you kind of miss the opportunities that what that wrap could have done. So there's just things I would say keep in mind, you know, when you're making these decisions. Just think them through, make sure it's a good long-term plan and that you're not going to miss out on some opportunities of doing something maybe different or better that would be better for the long run.
Well, being more strategic and planned out than just like impulsive and just doing something just to get it done. Again, I think they're just trying to check that box.
And I know Lemon Seed has a lot of strategy in what you're doing and why you're doing it. Before you mention something to a customer, you're not just throwing it out there like, well, hey, koozies work for them. Y'all all should do koozies. You're going to have more thought on why and how you're going to execute it. And I think so many people miss out on that. We have a lot of people come in and they'll request promotional products just to have them. And there's not a reason.
Yes.
There's not an event and a targeted, you know, oh, it's a hush puppy event, so we're going to do this particular product to give away that's going to have a marketing tag to it. It's just, we just do that because everybody else does it. And so I think by just, you know, again, don't spend money where you don't have to. Be ready to do it really well. I loved the air freshener thing. What did y'all do with air fresheners recently?
So they're lemon scented.
Yeah.
And it says, "We stink at Sour Marketing." And does anyone ever really need an air freshener? But it's so memorable. And people are like, oh my gosh. And people will pick those up off of our table all the time because it's so clever and intentional. And it's you know.
Yeah. That's
where our brand can really come to life. But we have people, that does happen to us a lot because we do order a fair amount of promo products for our clients. And, you know, they've seen people, we pass out koozies, and I've seen people like koozies, so let's just get some koozies. Well, like, but sir, don't you don't have any alcohol like at any of your company events or anything like that because that's your company culture. Like, you don't want to be known for that. So what do most people use koozies for? Beer. So like, is that really? Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Maybe you don't want to have your logo on the koozie.
Or they're like, hey, I'm going to a parade. I need something to throw out. What about you know, they'll pick some like $5 item.
Whatever the cheapest item I can get. Has no relation.
Our clients, they're like, I saw this and it was cool, but I'm like, so are you going to throw that out in the crowd or, you know, like at a parade? Or is this going to be like at a table where you're like actually like hard talking with someone? Because Lemon Seed will do that. We'll have some like $10 water bottles that we'll give out. Hey, if you book a call with us, we'll give you this $10 one. But for these people, they're just kind of kicking the tires. They just want to grab what they want. Then we have the cheap stuff. You have to be intentional and strategic, even just on your promo products. You know,
that's right.
I think people just want to order something to check that box. Well, and also just the details matter. So even if you were a little bit intentional, you did more than just checking the box. Like you actually ordered some uniforms, real nice polos, or you got an actual sign, or you did pay for the wrap and not just decals. Pay attention to the details.
Yeah, just carry it out well, because even if you did get, you know, T-shirts are the best you could afford for your uniform for your guys. Great. Let's make sure they're the same color. Let's make sure they're the same brand. I saw actually it's a competitor of McWilliams here in the Lufkin area, showed up at a job. We were actually working on a sign project showed up. The truck was dirty, like just dirt and dirty mud all over it. It hadn't been washed in a while. It was an open bed truck, junk all in the back. 2 dudes hopped out, 2 different T-shirt colors on, total both untucked, a little sloppy. One dude had blue jeans on with the jeans tucked in the boot, like half hanging out, just total sloppy. Looked like he just totally woke up, rolled on to work, and they're showing up this morning to roll into and work on this job. And it just, the presentation of it all. So yes, they could have checked the box that they had, company branded T-shirts on, but they weren't matching. They were one was green, one was blue, and it's just little things like that really matter.
It really makes me question, like, sir, do you really know what you're talking about, or like you
or care what you're doing?
Yeah, or you want me to invest $15,000 to buy this new, but like, sir, like I don't even,
Yeah, so wherever you're starting, I mean, even if budget is, hey, T-shirts the best we can, then let's coordinate and make sure we're going to wear the same color and we're going to look good. Hey, let's tuck them in. Let's, whatever you got to do just to make the most. You can wash your trucks once a week, or, gosh, in this case, once a month would have been an increase. You could have had it, just those little details to make a nice impression and really communicate the image that you want. Carry it out.
Well, and that's what Crystal did a Facebook Live not too long ago about. When marketing doesn't matter at all. So like you can partner with Lemon Seed and we could drive all the leads and make the phone ring and do all this, but like when it gets down to the details and you're going to show up in a dirty truck, sloppy, boots untucked, it doesn't matter what kind of awesome marketing tactics we've done, like you've just lost it kind of there.
Yeah.
And so marketing will not fix all of your problems if you can't fix internally. True. And be intentional on these things. Pay attention to the details.
Yeah, so be ready for it and do it right.
Okay, so we've talked about all these fun things about how you should, maybe upgrade some things, be intentional about it and stuff, but like, okay, all that sounds really fun and cool, but like it also sounds really expensive. So how could people like plan accordingly to maybe get some of these new items or kind of upgrade some of these things and maybe bite it off in pieces, or, what's your advice on that?
Well, I mean, and even just kind of recapping some of the things we said of just let's make sure that we spend what we can, but be intentional what we are spending. And so I think by developing a relationship with your vendors might help you do that and get the best bang for your buck. I always enjoy it when a customer will ask me, hey, I know this is what we bought in the past and they're $10 a shirt. What's something else within this range up under $20 that might be a better improvement? Or, hey, I know that good polo is $12.99 and it works, but we're getting a lot of snags on it. I'd like them to last longer. What do you recommend? And then that, I'm not trying to upsell. I'm just trying to say, hey, here's a snag resistant one that's actually been really good for us, and it's $13 or $15.99. So there might be good possibilities just right around your budget that you need to know of. So by having a good vendor that you could communicate needs or concerns about, that would be great. Be careful, too, about just making demands to a vendor, because sometimes a customer will come in and say, oh, yes, I want the Under Armour XYZ shirt, and you end up spending a lot on these shirts because that's what you like, and there might be a comparable one just like it for $10 cheaper, and you could get so much more for that same money you're spending. So I think by just, again, having someone that you can collaborate with and make sure you're getting the right item. And I know we're talking about apparel right there, but really that same thing goes into signs, yard signs, to whatever you're using for promotional reasons. Make sure you have someone that you can collaborate with, and they will have your interest in mind of just trying to get you the best bang for your buck.
Sure,
if you're going to spend $10,000 this year in signage on your building, let's make sure that you're getting the most out of it, not just checking the box of what you requested. I know that, McWilliams has expanded in their market, and so it's a lot more work on my team, but I definitely want them to show 3 good options. Hey, here's one scenario with this price range. Here's another one. And if you want to go all out, here's the top one.
Well,
and that way, those options are made for the customer to make the best educated decision.
Well, and I know at Real Graphics, y'all already teach, try to find out, what is really the end goal. So, the customer might come to you, I want this exact shirt or this exact thing. Well, okay, what do you want to do with this? Okay, and you find out, I just really wanted a soft, kind of trendy shirt. Oh, okay, even though we could have had this brand that you specifically wanted, this one is so much better, or whatever, and so we have to do that when we're doing a brand design for our clients. Sometimes they'll say, I want this color with this mascot and this font, and when you do that, you kind of pigeonholed what can come out of it, and you're not relying on the professionals, whether it's branding strategists or t-shirt printing vendors or whoever. You've narrowed them down because you've made your checklist so tight. So ask for options, ask for their professional opinion. No, that's really good.
And we've missed out on bids before for some things because we quoted it exactly what
how
they asked.
wanted it.
Then that price shocked them. They talked to someone else and got option B and C that were cheaper, and
or you were option one.
Yeah,
so
they only
then,
wanted channel letter set, so we gave them a price on their logo, performed out in channel letter set. And it wasn't until someone else said, okay, well, if you're not spending $20,000, then here we could do this for 10. And they said, yeah, let's do that because that first company was way too much. But again, working with that vendor, having a relationship, it'll allow both of you to be more successful, I think, to find the best bang for your buck or the best option to fit in your range and to move you forward to the right goal.
So, and also when you're working that vendor relationship, like, it's really good to find out what they're good at. Yeah. Like, what is their bread and butter? Yeah. Because like you mentioned, a lot of people are just outsourcing a lot of stuff. And so when you're getting the third or fourth ticket that it's gone past through, like, you're paying so much more and like you don't have all the flexibility or the options that you might have had. So working with a vendor that specializes in something is very important.
Yeah, we try to be pretty transparent at Real Graphics when there's something that someone's requesting and it maybe isn't something we produce in-house 100%. We usually try to communicate with that and say, hey, this is a good option. We have a vendor that does this for us. Here's the pros and cons. Maybe they take a long time, but the quality's great or whatever it be. We try to be upfront about it and let them know. But I would say people in my sign and printing industry are pretty notorious of saying, we do it all, we got you covered, get the order, and then find someone else to produce it. Mm-hmm. And you might, as the end customer, maybe catch some problems with quality, problems with turnaround, things like that you might. So if you have a relationship with vendors, it's okay, I think, to ask them, hey, what are you guys really good at? Where's your specialty? I know you say you do signs and wraps and printing, but are you producing this in-house, or would I be better to work with someone else? I mean, I don't think anything's wrong with that because, again, they can let you know yay or nay. Hey, I have confidence that we can do this well, or you know what, you probably should order your apparel from someone else because they'll be able to take better care of you. So I think that's okay to bring that up.
Marketing agencies, like, someone started off like a newspaper, and now they're all of a sudden wanting to do radio ads and digital things and stuff. It's like, no, you're really bad. So you're just finding someone else to place these digital ads for you, and by the time of this $5,000 budget, you're only getting $1,000 of ad spend because it's gone through so many different people.
Mark it up. Yep.
Yeah, if you would have just gone to the direct digital agency in the beginning, how much would you have saved? So yeah.
Well, and let me even opposite that by saying one reason Real Graphics have gotten so wide in our offerings is because we wanted to be able to control that for our customers and help them. But a benefit, I had someone just last Thursday say to me, yeah, one of the main reasons because they're 50 miles away from us. And so I was talking to him about a project, and he's like, yeah, one of the main reasons I like using you guys is because you have all my stuff and you keep it all consistent. And I was like, I hope that's not the main reason, but I hope that's a perk. I hope you like the quality and the design and all these other things. And I was picking with him, and he but I thought that was a good thing that he recognized that, hey, at least when we go to Real Graphics, they'll have it all consistent, and the truck wraps and the signs and the promotional banners going out front, they all flow and they make sense together. Sure. So that was a nice compliment that I don't even think he intended, but I took it happily that, we are doing that and keep it consistent, and that is a good perk. So if you find someone that can do a lot of things, hey, there could be some value in that. But again, just be careful that vendor really can guarantee the quality and everything that you're needing from them for the things that they're offering.
Well, and like you're saying, like, it's okay to shop the price, right? Like, right. And you kind of actually encourage it. Or when you're willing to have those talking options and that conversation about it, hey, I got this other price from someone else, but, I don't know why this was so off or this was so far different, Right, you're good when customers will come and kind of talk things out with you.
I think it's healthy, and sometimes it can end bad. We've had someone say, "Hey, I get these Richardson 112 caps from you, and you're charging me, $12, and I found someone that can do it for $11." And at least we know, hey, we're talking apples to apples. But the negative was, they took forever and they're not very responsive. But
or my logo's wrong, it has different thread color.
That way, then you can, hey, that is an apples to apples comparison. Maybe the service is the differentiator there. But at least you know what you're getting and what you're expecting. But so many times that might not be the case. You might not have the true understanding of what I'm going to make for you versus what someone else is going to make for you. So bringing it up and saying, hey, help me get to the details of what exactly are you pricing here so that I can compare these quotes accurately. I think that's wise. The other thing is just communicating about it, because sometimes it comes down to, recently a guy was saying, hey, your hats that I buy from you are $2 more on average, but I much prefer dealing with you, and this is great, and I always email in this person, and they take care of it, and I don't have to stop and do nothing. It's worth that extra few bucks. And so just pick your battles, but at least, shop in the price and understanding what you're getting will just let you know you're getting the most out of your budget. So I think that's a good thing.
And when you really work a vendor relationship, you can kind of give and flex with each other, and so, like, speaking of, wrapping McWilliams and Son vehicles, y'all have that working relationship and have for years. And so when Trey McWilliams calls, I need this tomorrow, you've already done that business and you've built that relationship and stuff. So you might squeeze some things out from him, or for him, things like that. So
today's currently Wednesday. There was a call. No, today's Thursday. So yesterday there was a call on Wednesday saying, I got 3 incoming vans. Can we get them out on the street by Friday next week?
And I don't even have the vehicles
We don't have the vehicles yet, but but exactly. When that's coming from a relationship vendor customer, that's what can happen versus just a cold call off the street is that they might not get a call back if you're making some crazy request like that. But the other thing too is also when I remember Trey bought a box truck or something. It was an extra. It wasn't something he had budgeted for, but it's like, hey, or maybe it was a trailer, and he needed a certain price. And it's like, hey, I know you said the price is this, but I'm trying to stay within budget. Can you do it for that? You're happily ready to flex for that customer because we have such a good relationship. So if you can nurture your vendor relationships, and when you need something, they should be happy to flex and help you out whenever you need it. And that's what it's all about. I know it goes both ways, but so I hope you can get the most out of your vendor relationships.
Yeah, and so this whole podcast is not a sales pitch for Real Graphics. It's in the things we've experienced. Find this vendor, in your hometown, in your area, and here's the tips and how you can really nurture that relationship.
Yeah.
So, well, that's all great, and I always love talking to you.
Whatever.
Yeah. But one of the reasons I do is because you're a lot better at this than I am, but you do always encourage me to be the best version of yourself. And so as small business owners and as our listeners are small business owners and leaders in their own company and stuff, what are some motivations or things that you could give us right now? Because you're much better at this than I am.
Gosh, I don't know, but I would say just try to be the best version of yourself you can, because you've got people in your company around you that are depending on you, and if you're not filling yourself with the things that you need to be energized and the best version that you can, you might not be able to influence and lead in the best ways possible. So just trying to always kind of fuel yourselves up, I think is very important. Taking time and identifying the things that drain you and identifying things that fill you up and energize you, and being a little strategic on balancing those. I think another thing of just giving yourself margin. I ask Emily all the time, okay, I know you have a 12 o'clock meeting and you have a 2 o'clock meeting. Are you sure you want to schedule this podcast at 1 o'clock right in between? You have no margin there to breathe, to flex, to change gears. So little things like I've been trying to also give myself margin. I know I'm going to have a staff meeting at 9. I want to make sure that I can be ready for that customer meeting at 10:30, so I have 15 minutes to breathe. So I think giving yourselves a little margin, because we want to just stack it in on us, and I think we can be pretty brutal to ourselves at times. So anything that we can do to give ourselves a little break is probably a good idea, and I think we'll be better to the ones around us for it.
I think sometimes we need almost permission from other people to say it's okay to have margin, or you need to have margin.
But the people that are working with you aren't going to give you that, so you're going to have to kind of look out for yourself. You know what I mean?
True.
Meaning my sales team is going to come to me with questions when I walk in the door. They're not going to say, hey, are you at a good point in your day that you could answer some questions for me? They're going to need something. They're going to come and try to get their answer real quick. So just what you can do to kind of protect yourselves and be ready is really helpful.
Sure. And what I was meaning was as a leader or business owner and stuff, sometimes I don't feel like I can do that for myself. So hearing it from someone else like you have to remind me to create some margin for myself and stuff. And so hopefully that can be some encouragement, to some of our listeners. But also you do a great job of personally trying to be the best version of yourself. I remember when you were on that kick of taking cold showers.
Yep.
Do you remember that? Tell the listeners. Tell the Lemonheads.
Well, it was a year ago, and I just wanted to start just doing things that I could control. Well, and I'll say this, I'll be a little vulnerable. It was just at a stressful point to where when I showed up for work, there was a lot of chaos in the day, and I know other business owners couldn't relate to this. But, when you open the door, you don't know what you're about to get hit with, what problem's going to rise up or what you're going to have to tackle. So it always was just a feeling of once I got to work, no telling what's about to happen. So I started getting up earlier, and I'm not a morning person, but I'm not at all. But I started getting up earlier because I wanted that time to prepare myself for the day. So when we have 3 young girls right now, they're 2, 4, and 6. So when they get up, plus Emily, it's a pretty crazy house in the morning. So I found that if I could get up, first it was like 30 minutes, then it was an hour early. Man, I had this time to read and just have some quiet time. Oh, man, sit outside and smoke a cigar. I was ready for whatever that day wanted to bring. And so that's what kind of started some things of just kind of preparing myself and making me more ready to tackle the day. And then another thing that
But in doing that, you started taking cold showers.
And it started, we were just having lunch with some friends, and someone said some random fact about, did you know a cold shower, does this and that for your arteries? Or I don't remember, some weird thing. And I'm just like, that's dumb and weird.
But I'm going to do it.
But I was like, how hard could that be? So, yeah, I did take cold showers from I think it was through May to August. So basically what it is that when we in my shower, it takes a minute and 15 seconds for the warm water to come across the house and heat up the shower. So I would turn it on full blast, just right in the middle of it, take that minute and 15 seconds of cold water on me before the warm would start to warm up. And that was what I did for a long time. But yeah, I was just trying to be uncomfortable, but just do something hard and challenging, and just, I don't know, it was good for me. So I did that for a season.
Well, and just to reset yourself and help prepare for your day, like really energize. So you're always willing to try those new things, and I've never once taken a cold shower in my life. So,
well, yeah. Just anyway, I just say always be growing, and that's a healthy way to be tackling it. Right now, at our company, Real Graphics, our main theme right now is growing forward. We had so much navigating to go through during the COVID times of 2020, and then 2021 wasn't any easier. If anything, it brought more challenges. And here we are in 2022, and it's not a cakewalk. There's new things that are constantly changing with prices and availability and inventory and all this stuff. And with all that changes, we challenged ourselves as a team that we didn't want to be just staying afloat. We didn't want to just be making it. But if we're going to be going forward, we wanted to be growing forward. So individually, we want to be growing as individuals, as team members, as a company. So whatever for that healthy growth is our goal. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we've been going. So I've been using that term growing forward a lot, just naturally. It's in my vocabulary. But that means a lot right now for this time and season where we're at. So.
Well, you're really good about listening to podcasts and reading books and things like that. You are always seeking to grow and get more knowledge and adapt new ways of doing things or thinking, so that you can always be growing forward. And so what's something that you could give some of our Lemonheads as a little takeaway, or something that they could grasp onto or maybe try to adapt for themselves?
Well, something that's fresh for me right now is I listen to Kerry Newhoff's podcast. He is a guy that has a pastoral background. Actually, I think a lawyer first, then a pastor to church, and he's a speaker, leadership coach type person now. So he's got a really great platform of just great information that he shares and good people that he interviews on his podcast. So I got introduced to him this last maybe springtime, and then he had a book come out called At Your Best, and that really resonated with me very well. A lot of the big ideas in the book is to manage your energy over your time. And I thought that was a really good point, as I was identifying, why am I putting these meetings in this time when that's my best focus time? And then in the afternoon when I'm struggling, I'm trying to do focus work. And so I started switching stuff around, kind of taking advice from his book. And I thought that was very practical and helpful. And the other part of that is just protecting your priorities, because no one else will. Yeah. So again, when you know that, man, if I'm going to get these emails tackled and do it well, I should do it at this time, protect that time and get those things done that you need first. And then you're there to help support everybody else with what they might need from you in the other times where you might not be totally at your best. So that would be a good one I'd recommend. It was an easy read and listen. I listened to the audiobooks. I read along. But yeah, it's called At Your Best. I really enjoy that. Another thing that's coming up is the Global Leadership Summit. Yeah. That was pretty cool. Last year was the first time I participated. I know Lemon Seed was there with some team members, and we're going to be back again. But that's a simulcasted leadership summit all over. There's different host sites, but you can also just listen and follow online. And I thought the content of that was really good because there's a lot of practical stuff that you could put into place. But there was also good speakers and people sharing just good energizing motivation. And so I really appreciated the variety of stuff that I got out of that. And I even listened to some of their other podcasts throughout the year and enjoyed that so far. So those are some that are top of mind right now.
No, and Kerry Newhoff, we listened to him give a talk not too long ago.
That's right.
And it was very good. And so I would say, anything he's putting out, watch it, pick up his book, things like that. That's all great. So, well, Chris, thank you for being here, and thanks for helping remind us about like why details matter in your business and how to kind of really work those vendor relationships, and so that you can maximize your marketing effort and spend, but then also your internal team products and things like that, and just that overall brand representation, because that's what we're all about at Real Graphics and at Lemon Seed, is building a brand, and it's so much more than just a logo design.
That's right.
And so thanks for all that motivation on how we can always be growing forward, and thanks for listening to another episode.
Enjoyed it. It was great being here. Appreciate it.
Will you be back next week? No.
Nah.
So thanks for listening to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. If you like this episode, please make sure to leave us a review and share it with a friend. And as always, thanks for sipping some lemonade. See you next time.